A huge gorilla dragged the girl into the jungle, and then something shocking happened. A huge gorilla grabbed a defenseless tourist and dragged her straight into the jungle. The girl thought that this was the end for her, but then something incredible happened. Visiting Africa for the first time, Cynthia joined a group of tourists and a local guide for an unforgettable excursion into the jungle. However, her curious and daydreaming nature caused her to fall behind the group. To her dismay, as she tried to figure out where everyone had gone, a massive gorilla suddenly emerged from the dense thicket, appearing like a fierce, furry giant. Startled, Cynthia backed away in fear but stumbled and fell to the ground, painfully twisting her leg. Cynthia struggled to hold back a scream from the searing pain in her leg, knowing that any sudden noise might provoke the massive primate. To make matters worse, the weather took a sudden turn. Dark clouds rapidly engulfed the sky, and within minutes, a torrential downpour began, escalating into a full-blown tropical storm with fierce gusts of wind. Throughout it all, the gorilla stood silently, watching Cynthia with curious eyes as she moaned in pain, as if trying to understand the strange human behavior. Cynthia was at a loss, uncertain of what to do next. She realized that with the storm raging, it was unlikely the rest of the group would return for her anytime soon. Meanwhile, the gorilla remained nearby, its presence now an even greater threat than the worsening weather. The thoroughly wet girl could not stand the tension, sat down straight on the dirty ground, and began to cry loudly from pain and despair. Because of the tears and large drops of rain, Cynthia could no longer see anything in front of her, and she didn't even notice how the gorilla got to her in a matter of moments, having made several long jumps. The primate's powerful furry paws picked up the girl like a toy, and the gorilla dragged her straight into the jungle. Very frightened that the gorilla wanted to eat her, Cynthia screamed as hard as she could, but the noise of heavy rain drowned out almost all sounds. Before the girl had time to come to her senses, she found herself in a small cave, where at least it was quite dry, and the wind and rain outside were practically not felt. Cynthia could hardly bring herself to take her eyes off the ground and look at her huge captor, trying to understand what she wanted. To the girl's surprise, the gorilla left her alone again, walked away a few feet, and continued to observe the human's behavior. At that moment, Cynthia felt that the gorilla was not going to harm her, and this finally allowed the beautiful captive to relax a little. It even began to seem to Cynthia that the gorilla had brought her to the cave on purpose. Seeing that the girl was injured, Cynthia decided to protect her from a ferocious tropical storm. The girl mentally thanked the large primate and began to think about what she should do next. Suddenly, Cynthia remembered that the guide had given all the tourists small GPS trackers in case of danger. The girl found this tracker in her backpack, was relieved to make sure that the rain had not damaged the device, and finally pressed the right button. After that, she could only hope that the guide would receive a signal from the device and bring rescuers after her. After about an hour, the rain stopped and the sun shone in the sky again. With her injured leg, Cynthia carefully made her way out of the cave to make it easier for rescuers to spot her. As she waited anxiously, the gorilla kept its distance, staying close enough to watch over her. It seemed to strike a delicate balance, avoiding frightening her while remaining ready to step in if any danger emerged from the jungle. Hours later, when Cynthia heard distant voices in the jungle, she cried out with all her strength, her voice filled with relief and joy. Moments later, the rescuers arrived at the cave where the injured tourist anxiously waited. Never in her life had Cynthia been so overjoyed to see other people. Despite her overwhelming relief, Cynthia caught a glimpse of the gorilla retreating into the jungle and silently thanked her furry guardian angel. Rescuers helped her back to the hotel, and soon she was on a snow-white airliner flying home. As she gazed out the window, her thoughts lingered on the gorilla, once a terrifying monster in her eyes, but ultimately her protector during the ferocious storm, perhaps even saving her life. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.